evening. I'm so happy everyone can be here tonight. For those of you who don't know me, I am Joanne Faust, and I'm the chair of the All of Ames Athletic Hall of Fame. And I would like to welcome you all to this induction banquet for 2018. This evening, we are very pleased to be inducting 7 outstanding individual athletes as well as 3 state championship teams. Before we begin, I would like to take a moment to recognize my fellow committee members who have all helped make this evening possible. This is not certainly a one-man show. Everybody helps out. So when I call your name, if you could please stand and give a little wave. Gil Hino, our vice chair. Clary, our secretary. Jason Sutton, our treasurer. Ed Lemich. Carrie Bourne. Ross Moscato. Steve Adams. Wes Paul, the principal of All Reigns. Bill Matthews, our athletic director. And Lane Clement Holbrook, our longtime basketball. I would like to offer all of the inductees and the team members tonight my congratulations. Very deserving honor for all of you. And now I would like to introduce my fellow committee member and fellow Hall of Famer, Ross Moscato, our Master of Ceremonies.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming. We've got a packed house here today. I'm looking over at the Holmes table over there. Now, there's 5 members as of tonight that will be in the Hall of Fame. Hattie. What's Hattie's brother's name, Tommy?
Excuse me?
Hattie's brother's name? Richard, and then Rich Holmes, and now the twins are going in tonight, so that's quite a legacy. I think it's great. I also want to reiterate what Joanne had said. These are exceptional people that give a lot of their time, and it's quite impressive. And this is fundamental to a strong and a good society, people willing to volunteer. And you can hope all you want that it's going to be done at the State House or the federal level, or I don't care if you voted for Trump or Hillary Clinton, whoever, they're not going to do it ultimately. It's us that have to do it. Day in and day out, it is our commitment to one another and our giving and community that forges strong communities. I thank you very much. And then I've been fortunate, I look over there at Bill Matthews, and here's a guy who played at the highest level in the NFL, started for the Patriots, and you learn something from him when he's played at the highest level and the care and concern he gives and the attention he gives to making this a wonderful organization and a wonderful event. And for example, the other day, Wes Paul was called out at the Veterans Day ceremonies, and the head of the VFW, the commander, Al Smart, said, whenever I call up All of Ames High School, Wes Paul responds, you know? And of course, I'm looking at Ed Lemich, and this is his love child. I mean, he created this, he stayed with this, and he was true to it, and extraordinary fidelity is expressed to it, and we're all very fortunate. And I know I'm going to get in trouble not calling everyone out, but Mr. Nixon will be celebrating his 90th birthday on the 23rd. I know it probably won't meet with favor in this room, and I've said this before, but sport rarely asks us to be courageous. I don't think the sport ever compels us to be heroic. Maybe Jackie Robinson taking to the field when he received death threats, maybe something like that. But sport does communicate, sport does reinforce, sport does call upon us to exert and to learn and ennoble some of the most important virtues, whether that is love, honesty, hard work, fidelity to cause, honesty. These are all among the most estimable of human qualities, and sport demands that of us. And when we meet sport honestly, and we do it right, and we work with it properly, it can be one of the best experiences and the most valuable elements in our society. When we don't treat it right, it can enervate society, be destructive and hurt us, and exploit and promote all the wrong values. But I dare say that in this hall, this community, we don't do that. We honor it, and we ennoble it, and we stand up for it, and we carry the water for it all the time. And I always try to emphasize the importance of sport in terms, in a broader level, what happens. And I was thinking on a book I was recently working, and I think of a gentleman, it was late February 1980. He was in his residency to become a doctor, to become a surgeon. He was in Air Force. He was an Air Force officer. He was going through incredible pain. He was on pain medication. Things were very dark in his life. And he got to that point where he didn't think he could live anymore. This is a true story. And he came home from a shift, and he had resolved that that is the night he would take his life. But he didn't take his life that night. And this all ties to Easton and Oliver Ames in a certain way, because he turned the TV on. It was February 22nd, 1980, Friday night, and there was a replay of a hockey game. And he watched, and this doctor to be in his residency, Dr. James Thorpe, saw the United States Olympic hockey team. And not only were they not getting blown out, they were making a game of it. And he couldn't believe it. And there was the goaltender who grew up on North Main Street and graduated from Oliver Ames High School in 1975. He couldn't, because they can't figure this goaltender out. The greatest hockey team in the world, the Soviets, can't beat them. That night, he resolved he was not going to kill himself. Today, he is one of the premier and best known and most accomplished neonatologists in the world, Dr. James Thorpe. You know, and later that night, in the Mediterranean Sea, the U.S. aircraft carrier Nimitz was not far, and this all speaks to, again, the importance of sports, wasn't far from a Russian ship. And in Morse code on the flashlights, they flashed 4-3. That was the score of the game. But it's not over, because that night, too, over the Indian Ocean, U.S. jet fighter pilots were intercepted by Russian MiGs. And the Russians turned on their international code so they could speak to the U.S. pilots, and they said, "Congratulations." And a big event. And I leave you, and this is just, it's going to be a wonderful evening. I am very happy to be a part of it. I implore all of you, through your life, to go from here and to take what you found most important in sport, most helpful, and you use it in other areas of your life. You use it in your entire life. And one of the teams inducted tonight, I don't know, 20 years from now, you may hear one of your teammates is in a bad way. Something has happened in his life or her life, and she's up against it, he's up against it. That is when you do what you did on that field 30, 40 years ago. That's what you do when you won that championship on that baseball diamond in Laurel all those years ago. You come together and say, how can we help this person out? You may hear one of a teammate has a kid applying to Stonehill College and said, "Listen, I have an in at Stonehill College, let me see if I can help out." But you be there for one another like you were there on that baseball diamond and that soccer field and on that basketball court all those years before. And that way you want to sport and you stand up for each other. I thank you for being here tonight, and let's get this bad boy going, okay? Thank you.
Evening, my name is Gil Hino.
Bill, did I take it away from you again?
I'll be a co-host tonight along with Stevie Ames. And we're going to introduce the presenters. So let me start off with Brittany Engel will be presented by Elaine Clement Holbrook, coach and mentor. Brittany.
Thank you. Brittany Engel shined in basketball and lacrosse for the Oliver Ames Tigers, and she also earned 2 varsity letters playing field hockey. As a playmaking and shooting guard for the Tiger Hoops team, Brittany scored 1,000 points in her career and co-captained the OA contingent that won the 2006 Massachusetts Division II State Championship. In lacrosse, as a defensive wing, she scored 150 goals. Voted the OA Girls Scholar Athlete for her senior year, Brittany was a 3-time Hockomock League All-Star in lacrosse and a 3-time Tiger team MVP. An accomplished resume for sure, but it wouldn't be in basketball where Brittany made her biggest mark. It would be. Brittany started 4 years for the Tiger basketball program. For her performance in her sophomore and junior seasons, she was named All-Hockomock League. As a senior, Brittany was the floor general and leading scorer for the Tiger team that finished the year with a victory in the state championship game at the Worcester Central. Brittany's play over that championship season earned her Boston Globe All-Scholastic, Boston Globe Super Team, Massachusetts Basketball Coaches Association South Player of the Year, All-Hockomock League, and Hockomock League MVP honors. Also excelling in the classroom, Brittany received the Hockomock League Scholar Athlete Award and the Suzanne Ribard Trophy, bestowed on the most valuable girls student athlete at Oliver Ames. Brittany attended Marist College on a full athletic scholarship. She was a letter winner for the Red Foxes and was named to 4 Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference All-Academic teams. To say that Brittany has a competitive spirit would truly be an understatement. As an English teacher, Brittany has made grading papers a competitive sport. Brittany has served as a varsity assistant for the Oliver Ames girls basketball team since 2015. During that stretch, the OA girls have won the Hockomock League Championship, a South Sectional Championship, and 3 consecutive Division II and Division I tournament berths. I was blessed to have Britt accompany me as one of my assistant coaches as we had the most incredible honor of coaching the 2017 Girls McDonald's All-American team in Chicago. Ask anyone that she has coached as to how Brittany pushes them to reach their full potential and her attention to detail. It has been a true gift to have had her as a student, an athlete, and now working beside me. It is with great pleasure that I present for induction into the Oliver Ames Athletic Hall of Fame, Brittany Engel, class of 2006.
I think Lainey said it all, or said more than I expected her to say. I greatly appreciate the honor. I wouldn't have earned any of those accolades if I didn't have my support of my family, the support of my teammates who are also my best friends, and the support of the coaching staff, especially Lainey. I know it wasn't easy to coach. She alluded to my competitiveness a little bit, but she was doing that in kindness, I think. Because as my teammates know, and as coach knows, I could be competitive probably to a fault. And while that helped us win a lot of games, I think it probably made it more difficult than helpful for some of my teammates and coaches. But they stuck by me, and they always tried their best, even though I probably set the bar a little bit too high for all of us, myself included. But we all rose to the occasion to meet that bar, and we did it together. So while I appreciate Lainey introducing me as an individual, I honestly don't think I could have earned any accolade without my best friends, which are my teammates, my family, and my coaches. So I thank them for that.
Next is presenting for Terrence Hedrick, his friend Josh Peach.
This is my first time doing this, so I wasn't sure if I was supposed to read the bio, but I'll let you guys do it so I can have a little more time telling funny stories. Two of my best friends for the last 35 years happen to be Terry Hedrick and his twin brother Todd. They've been the closest people to me outside of family since I was in the 3rd grade. And driving over here, I was thinking about some words for Terry, and I came up with 4 F's. And I didn't realize so many of my teachers would be in this. So I know what you're thinking. No, they're not all the same word. And I did get those grades. For all 5 years. So the 4 F's for Terry was family, fun, focus, and fulfillment. Terry is someone who's just so caring for his family and dedicated, now with 2 kids and a lovely wife. The whole family lives in Easton. They all live and breathe Easton, and they're just fantastic human beings. He's so committed to family that he really didn't give me a whole lot of time to prepare for the speech or know what to talk about. So I have no idea what he's going to come up here and say, but if it's anything like his 1991 bid as student council secretary, it's 18 words and it's going to be the most memorable thing you ever hear. I'll let you know how it goes. It was a 3-way race between Alicia Downey, Sean Harris, and Terry Hedrick for secretary of student council. They went up to the PA system. Alicia knocked it out of the park. 5 minutes of big words and stuff I'll never understand. Sean came up and told about all the changes and things he was going to do, and Terry was quite simple. Remember when you vote today, it's not Secretary Alicia, it's not Secretary Sean, it's Secretary. So there's Terry's fun. I have to thank you for actually having this Hall of Fame, because in 1992, Olive Ames scored 49 goals in the season, and Terry scored 26. That's pretty impressive. I was a midfielder. I held a very important, pivotal role in the team. I was the high-fiver and hugger after the goals. So what would happen would be, I would see the focus of the goal. I would be able to see the goal before anybody was going to get it, and I would run real fast. I'd high-five and hug and look for the newspaper camera. And the 3rd to last game against Mansfield, Terry had scored a couple of goals. He was hit his 26th goal, which had him, I believe, tied or at record for Olive Ames. And Terry had this blazer shot, and it hit the goalie, went past the goalie, and it was sure to go in. So I immediately made my mad sprint to high-five and hug him, but something happened. The ball wasn't going fast enough. It was still going to go in, but it wasn't going in like it used to. So as Terry turned around and high-fived and hugged me, I went right past him, pushed him aside, and I handed the ball into the goal. Luckily, nobody saw it. Got my first goal. I turned around, and Terry was one of the first people to high-five and hug me and tell me, congratulations, that's a great goal. The rest of the people told me I was a moron. But that could have been Terry's 27th goal. He was a fantastic player, he was a fantastic friend, he was a fantastic fan. The last story that I'll tell you about Terry is, growing up, I was never an athlete. I never really understood what it took to be an athlete. And so I looked at Terry and Todd, and I always wanted to be like them, to try to be as good as them. So first, I figured I had to listen to the music they wanted to listen to, which was Metallica. So that kind of put a crimp in my style for becoming a professional break dancer. So I started to listen to Metallica, and I didn't get any better at playing soccer. So then I said, it's got to be the shoes. So I went to Gottschalk's with him, and I saw that Terry got shoes smaller than his foot size. So if he got one size smaller, I went and got 2. 2 days later, I was at the hospital, and they thought I had rheumatoid arthritis or some rare thing. So then I was like, it's got to be the food. So I took my crippled feet over to Terry's house because his dad, who was a master chef, was going to do a carb load the night before a game, and I figured this was going to be it. I was going to become a great soccer player. Until I had my first Mr. Hedrick meal, which was spaghetti with hot dog slices and ketchup sauce. I miss those meals. What I realized years later was, I read a book called Outliers, and I've done a number of business cases where I learned it takes over 10,000 hours to be an expert at anything. That's 20 hours a week for 10 years. Terry put that in. He put more than that in. He gave everything he had, and then some, and he never left anything on the field. He is an absolute athlete, an amazing human being, and at 42 years old, joined the police force in Rehoboth to show his fulfillment of wanting to do everything in his power and his dreams. I couldn't be more honored to have this. I'm sorry it took so much time, but I didn't read the bio, so that gave me 30 seconds. But I'm honored to introduce my friend and inspiration, Terry Hedrick.
I wrote some stuff down. I can almost guarantee that's not going to work out. This is a tough act to follow, Josh. This is how he is all the time. This is no different. If there was two people in the room, he'd be saying the same things. That was great. Yeah, that was really good. I appreciate it. This is truly an honor to be inducted into the student All Ames Hall of Fame alongside all these other student athletes. They exemplify the Oliver Ames and the town of Easton's tradition of excellence. So congratulations, guys. I appreciate it. I appreciate myself and also everyone that's here tonight. I'd like to give my deepest gratitude to the All Ames Hall of Fame committee. Without all of you, I would not be here accepting this gracious award, so thank you. Furthermore, I'd like to thank the countless exceptional coaches that guided me through many journeys as a student athlete from a very young age. Eddie Rollo's here. He was a coach of mine. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate it. From playing various youth sports growing up when we were coached by our parents to get into the big time at Oliver Ames. I mean, that was big when we were growing up in Easton, where some of the greatest lessons were taught by amazing coaches. I thank you. But we all know the real people in our lives we need to thank, and that will be family. Thank you to my beautiful wife, Lindsay, my two amazing children, Carter and Riley, who will now walk through the halls of Oliver Ames and see their dad's name on the wall. Thank you to my much older brother, Tom. He went to Oliver Ames. He was an exceptional baseball player and football player. For coming tonight. Also, I'd like to say thank you to my older brother, Todd. He's my twin brother. He's a minute older than me. I'm the youngest one in the family. Truth be told, he was more talented than I was. And finally, most importantly, my parents. Without their support and shuffling schedules, and as we know now, being parents, driving us from practice to practice, cheering us along, putting Band-Aids on us, and even driving me to the hospital to get 2 ACL surgeries. But no big deal. It was fun. It was definitely worth it with getting this award. Thank you, Mom, from the bottom of my heart. Finally, congratulations to all the other student athletes tonight, and thank you again for this prestigious award. I will always do my best to carry on the Oliver Ames tradition of excellence. Thank you.
Will be introduced by Michael Darling, her coach.
Gil just said he never met me, but he actually did. Years ago, Gil, when I was trying out for the Major League Baseball team, you were the pitcher. We all had to hit off of you. And by the time it was my turn to hit. You already been throwing for 2 hours, so you gave me a lollipop. I slammed it. I got on the team. I stunk for the rest of the season, but at least I got a hit. It is my distinct pleasure and honor to be asked to introduce Shanae Lepet. Shanae was an outstanding athlete, but she was also the ultimate team player. She excelled in basketball and in track. In basketball, she did all the dirty work. She was a rebounder. She stole the ball. She was the one who worked inside, and always was a team player for everybody. But in track, it's where she really excelled. When we first got her, we made her a sprinter, and she was happy with that. She only had to run 100, and then she can go home. But over time, I needed a shot put thrower. So I went to Shanae and I said, look, would you mind trying the shot put? And she really didn't want to, but being as easygoing as she is, she wanted to try it out. And no word of a lie, on her first throw, she heaved like a 27-footer. I said, that's it, you're mine, this is it. What's great about Shanae is that we had no facilities at this time. We went 7 years without a home meet during Shanae's time here at Oliver Ames High School. Every day we went on the track for practice, something else was being destroyed. One day I went out for disc practice. Oh, my disc cage is gone. Okay. Then we tried to do javelin, but javelin was now full of mounds of dirt. So when the day of the shot put circle went, we had to start thinking things up on how we were going to practice. So I had a portable, old-time metal shot put circle. And every time we were about to practice, Shanae and I and about 4 or 5 other shot put throwers would go around the track to find the exact spot where we could actually throw and glide and use our right technique. This could be disastrous for most coaches at this time, and most kids would say, you know, the hell with this, I'm not going to throw the shot put. But because of Shanae and her easygoing way and her outstanding leadership, more kids actually came out to try out the shot put because they wanted to be around Shanae. Shanae is one of the few track athletes in OA history to win 2 class championships in 2 different divisions. Her junior year, she won the Class B shot put championship. And then senior year, we were moved to Class C, and she won that as well. So please give her a big hand for that. Now, people ask me, well, how come Shanae never won a Hockomock League championship? Well, because there was a girl named Hillary Crook from Mansfield who was the 2-time All-State and All-New England champion in the shot put junior and senior year. Hillary is now coaching at Mansfield, and I had mentioned to her that Shanae was going to come into the Hall of Fame. So she had sent me, I'm getting a little sorry, hold on. She had sent me a quote that she wanted me to read tonight. And she said, Shanae was always a fierce competitor, making the OA Mansfield rivalry as intense as ever. Every time we went against each other, I had to be my absolute best, knowing she would never take a throw off. That explains Shanae in a nutshell. She was an outstanding person, an outstanding leader, and because of her, we have now had more shot put throwers come out, and when she has left and graduated OA, she was the #2 thrower in school history. She's now the #5 thrower, because the younger generation that saw her throw came and wanted to beat her record, and we've gone up ever since. So thank you, Shanae, for that. Since she's graduated, she went to UMass Amherst and graduated with a biology degree. She went to Mass Pharmacy and Health Sciences for nursing. She's now in South Carolina. She has 2 beautiful nieces and 3 handsome nephews. And it is my distinct honor and pleasure to introduce Shanae Lepet.
Special thanks to my coaches first, Coach Laney Holbrook. I don't see her right now. Oh, yes. Coach Holbrook, she used to push me on the court, and she let me be myself. By the time I became a senior, she just kind of, I remember hearing the coaches whisper on the sidelines, Shanae's not supposed to be there. And I hear Coach saying, just leave her alone, she's going for a steal, or just leave her, let her do what she wants to do sometimes. So I had a really good time. And then as I played track, or when I threw for track, I have to thank my father for my athletic abilities. I got out there and just, I got out there and it wasn't too hard for me to throw the shot put. I was like, this is just my speed. And I would have to say for Coach Darling, I would like to thank him too. He was the first coach to put me in my place and let me know you will not be throwing the 100 and going home or having somebody come pick you up and just showing up in me. You know, he's the one that made me more of a team player, made me stay, made me focus and concentrate a little bit more. Told him one day, I won't be at this meet because of whatever reason. And he was like, I'll see you on the bus tomorrow at 6 o'clock. And I was like, okay. So that was my sophomore year. He whipped me into shape. And thank you all for coming out tonight and just supporting us. And thank you all of our Ames Hall of Fame committee for reaching out, very consistent, making sure that this all gets done. So thank you.
Okay. Presenting for both Brenna and Kelly Matthews is their dad, Bill Matthews.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to take this opportunity to recognize the Hall of Fame committee members led by Joanne Faust for all the work they've done to make this a great event, with special recognition to founding members for their vision and work to create this great institution. Bobby Clary, Gil Hino, Kerry Bourne, and Ross Moscato, with an extra thank you to Ed Lemish for his tireless efforts to build this institution. I can't tell you how many people walk by the Hall of Fame plaques on the wall inside the atrium entrance of the school and say, I wish our school had that. So thank you, Eddie, for all the work that you've done, and thanks to all the committee. With tonight's induction, Brenna and Kelly joined their older sister Andy in the Oliver Ames Hall of Fame. Anybody who has 3 daughters knows that there is a secret scorecard to be kept between sisters. So please forgive me that although I am technically introducing just Brenna and Kelly to the Hall of Fame, I feel I have to give Andy her due as well to keep that scorecard in balance. With Andy being 4 years older than Brenna, and Brenna 3 years older than Kelly, my wife Lynn and I were blessed with 11 straight years of OA soccer, which meant 11 straight years of grit. And Brett, I mean that is a good thing. Thank you for everything you've done for our girls and for OA soccer. You have always found a way to give OA girls soccer their best opportunity to succeed as a team. Following the OA soccer years, all 3 of our girls went on to have outstanding careers at Northeastern University, so that we had 11 straight years of soccer there as well. It was a great run, and we were sad when it ended, except the part about the tuition payments. All 3 girls developed a passion for the game of soccer, but that passion developed very differently within each of them. Andy, being the firstborn, had to forge the path without an older sibling to show the way. At age 4, we signed her up for shrimp soccer, and off we went to her first game. During the game, she kept herself at a safe distance from that beehive where all the action was, where she could see what was happening, but was not really involved in the play. At some point, the ball came softly floating out of the pack and hit her gently in the hand. After a short pause, the process what just happened, she started to cry. Left the field and quit. I turned to Lynn and I said, She's not an athlete. But Andy recovered from her injury to develop into an outstanding high school and college player. She was the one that forged the path through high school and then set a goal to play for a Division I soccer program, which was a big stretch for her. She showed Brennan Kelly the effort, skill, and commitment needed to compete at that level. She has always been one to test the limits of her abilities in everything she does, for which we are very proud. So Brennan was off to a head start with her soccer development, having an older sister to show the way. She grew up with a soccer ball at her feet. As a middle child, one could argue she was the most competitive of the three. Anything somebody could do, she had to do better. If you could juggle a ball 100 times, she had to do it 200 times. In her first shrimp soccer game, I think she scored 4 goals, so arguably a more auspicious start to her soccer career than Andy. One memorable time in high school, Brenna had the ball and was working against the defender to get free to cross the ball. Her ponytail had come undone. So without missing a beat, she proceeded to fix it while she dribbled the ball around the defender. It was one of those, did I really see that moments. During Brenda's 4 years at OA, her teams had a combined record of 68, 8, and 9. I believe that to be the best 4-year record ever for OA soccer. I asked Britt about her as a player, and he said she wasn't a back, she wasn't a midfielder, and she wasn't a forward. So I asked, what was she? His reply, she was a soccer player. She could play any position, anytime, and play it well. Against King Philip in a key game to clinch the Hockomock League title, Britt wanted her to play outside mid. But she never played, so she gave him some noise about not knowing what to do. Britt said he needed her to shut down KP's outside mid, which was the key to shutting down their offense. Can you do that? Yeah, she said, I can do that. And she did. OA won 3-1 to clinch the Hawk. My wife Lynn and I had the privilege and pleasure to coach both Brennan Kelly and rec soccer. So many great kids, wonderful parents. I miss those nice parents now that I'm an athletic director. But I digress. Kelly had an even bigger head start with her soccer career than Brenna. Although she was 3 years younger than the team members, she practiced with Brenda's rec team, which Lynn and I coached. She had a team jersey, but she was never allowed in the game because she was too young. Those of you that know Kelly's personality know that didn't set very well with her, and she was determined to get in the game. The last game of the year, I finally relented and put her in the game. When she arrived on the field, Brenna promptly informed her she was not allowed to play, and that she had to get off the field now. Kelly stood her ground and insisted she was allowed to play because Dad said so. Kelly's soccer career head start was also being a ball girl for several years, serving for both Andy and Brenda's time on their teams. According to Britt, from time to time, she would engage in a little trash talk with the opposing teams as a ball girl. Her being a ball girl for this period of time meant she got pretty comfortable being around Britt. By the time she played for him in high school, she might have been a little too comfortable telling him what was on her mind. They would have arguments on the sideline about what adjustments they needed on the field. Anyone who knows Kelly knows you never hear her say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm wrong, you're right." They would end their discussion. Kelly would run back on the field. Britt would turn to Tony Searcy and say, "Did I win that one?" And Tony would reply, "Nope." When I asked Britt about Kelly as a soccer player, he told me Kelly's senior year could be the best ever for an OA soccer player. The team went 21-1-2, won a state championship. She received many honors, including Boston Globe MVP. She was tough physically and mentally. Her team looked to her when they needed a big play, whether offensive or defensive. And she always delivered, including the rocket she hit from the 18 into the top right corner against Dedham in the sectional final to help the team advance to the Eastern Mass final. Due to the 3-year age gap, Brennan Kelly had the opportunity to play together 1 year at OA and 1 year at Northeastern. The overlap year at Northeastern saw them advance to the NCAA tournament against Harvard. Kelly scored both goals during regulation, which ended in a 2-2 tie. During the shootout, Brenna hit her penalty kick, with Kelly shooting in the fifth and final spot. She nailed her PK to clinch the win for the Huskies. As we left the stadium, Mark Brockman remarked to me, "Has anyone ever told her she was born with a horseshoe up her butt?" No, and don't tell her. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. We are so thankful for the opportunities, the experiences, the friendships developed on the soccer sidelines, and the thrills of watching all of them play and develop as soccer players. But most importantly, we are grateful for the young women our daughters have become. Along with my beautiful wife, Lynn, they are my 3 favorite people in the world. Thank you. Unfortunately, due to a work commitment, Brenna is unable to be here tonight to accept her induction. I'd like to introduce Andy Matthews Wilson, who will present her acceptance speech on her behalf.
The non-athlete representing middle child. Hi everyone. First, I'd like to say how honored I am to receive this induction. I'm truly sorry not to be able to attend and accept in person. But you have here my sister Andy, and because we have the same voice and mannerisms, it's pretty much the same as having me. When I finished playing soccer after my senior season in college, I experienced some complicated emotions. I felt tired, beaten up, and most of all, over it. I was confused about who I was beyond being an athlete, and overwhelmed by the prospect of having to figure it out. Many years later, with space, time, and mindful reflection, the lasting emotion I feel is gratitude. I'm grateful for the exhilarating wins. They taught me that hard work can bring beautiful results. I'm grateful for the devastating losses. They taught me how to fail well. I'm grateful for the countless hours of practice time in between. They taught me that regardless of the end result, the process is worthwhile. I'm grateful for the many teachers, coaches, and friends I encountered along the way, and would like to name a few here. Lainey Holbrook, for nominating me for this honor and for always being such an amazing supportive force. Britt Selmeyer, for your years putting up with the Matthews family and all that entails. I know you have a reputation to uphold, but your deeply caring nature was a gift to me in high school, and I always felt valued playing for you. To my 2 best friends, Jess and Janelle, we met because of soccer and bonded over our shared preteen awkwardness. You taught me how to be a good teammate and made playing all those years fun. I don't know if I would have shown up to practice had it not been to spend time with you both. I love you and cherish you. To my sisters, Andy and Kelly, I couldn't ask for more amazing women to be sandwiched in between. Andy, this is awkward for you to have to compliment yourself. You paved the way for me and Kelly. Yours were big shoes to fill. But you have a way of not only leading, but empowering others to do the same. Your loving and supporting nature helped me come into my own, both as a player and a human being. Kel, being able to play with you in both high school and college was one of the greatest gifts of my life. While you're not one for sentiment, I always knew you had my back. Whether it be physically taking out other girls that messed with me on the field, or quietly braiding my hair, or wrapping me up in ice when I was injured. I'm so proud of you for being inducted tonight, but even so more for the woman that you've become. To my original coaches, my parents, Mom, you taught me how to show up. It doesn't make any logical sense how you could possibly work full-time, have 2 other daughters with a million commitments, but always knew that you'd be in the stands. And everyone else in a 5-mile radius knew as well. You're a superwoman, and I love and appreciate you. Dad, you are one of the most patient and effective teachers I've ever encountered. You taught me so much, even when it seemed like I wasn't listening, which was most of the time from ages 12 to 18. I love you, and I'm so grateful for you. And to my husband, You had nothing to do with me getting into this Hall of Fame. But you are my best teammate, the best teammate I've ever had, and I'm so grateful for you every day. So thank you on behalf of Brenna. And with that, I'd like to welcome up Kelly Matthews.
Our team is also getting inducted tonight, which is really exciting. It's also putting my public speaking to the test. Had to be pretty strategic about divvying up my material, so here we go. Thank you to the committee, first of all. This is really an unbelievable honor. It's really special to me. Thank you to Britt Solmeyer. I really put your limited patience to the test, I think. I did this fun thing a lot, where every time Britt took me off the field, I would just stand in front of him until he told me why. Most of the time, it was, just take a break, Matthews. To which I would say, oh, I'm not tired. You want me to go back in? I think after my sweet rule-following sisters that came before me, Britt expected my 4 years to be a breeze. But then again, hadn't you met my mother? But really, thank you for your guidance, your commitment, and your genuine faith in me and our team. Speaking of my mother, thank you, Mom. When I tell people my dad played professional football, I think they often make the assumption that we get our intensity and our athletic genes from him. But again, have you all met Lynn Matthews? Thank you for being a fierce, strong woman who does it all the time. And Dad, you're my rock, steady and unwavering. You give the best advice, you're always honest, sometimes really ruthlessly honest. Not to mention, you raised three different, completely difficult girls. So for that, I think you deserve sainthood or something of that nature. Andy and Brenna, this speech is supposed to be pretty short, and I think I could go on forever. I couldn't dream up two better sisters and role models. I most certainly wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for you. Brenna and I had the opportunity to play, as you heard, both our freshman year of high school and soccer. She described it pretty nicely, but I don't think she loved it as much as she said all the time. I think I was pretty constantly cramping her style, but she also had a really nice way of mentoring me and making my experience really special. And I think that brought us really close. I'll never forget my time as an OA Tiger. I watched my sisters play OA soccer games since I was in the 3rd grade. I was a ball girl. I think probably one of the most dedicated ball girls to this day, maybe other than Lauren, I've heard since then. 7 years of service until it was my turn. I was proud to slip on my orange and black polyester blend top that was 3 sizes too big for me every week for 4 fall seasons in a row. I was proud to play next to the girls that I loved, laughed, cried, and fought alongside since we were tiny tots. Winning the state championship was just the cherry on top of an unforgettable experience with really unforgettable people. Thank you.
Next, presenting for Shanika Pitts is Coach Mike Darwin.
Shanika Pitts. When you say Shanika Pitts, first thing that comes to my mind is speed. Just raw speed. Shanika came to us sophomore year from Blue Hills Regional. She was on the soccer team, and Francesca Peretti had come up to me in October and said, "Coach, there's this girl named Shanika on the team, and she's very fast." I'm like, "Yeah, there's soccer fast and there's track fast. So we'll wait and see." So she came out for indoor, and we had practice out on the track, and we were doing 60-minute times, and it was Shanika's time to run, and it was amazing to see the entire team just stop to watch to see what she was going to do. And yeah, she was fast. Coach Stonehill and I high-fived each other, says we have someone for a relay now, we actually have a real sprinter, let's go forward. And we did. Shanika, by the time she was done, held 4 individual track records, which are still standing today, and she's part of 2 team records as well that are still holding on. She was also the Hockomock League MVP in 2006, which was rare because she was not part of a championship Hockomock team, but that's how good Shanika was. Her best year was her junior year. In an indoor, back then you could only run 1 running and do 1 field for the regular meets. So we had her in the 55 dash because we had some kids in the 300 that would score for us. And Shanika tried and worked hard on her block work, but she just couldn't get it right. So finally, the week before the Hawks, Coach Stonehill and I got together and said, "You know what, we're going to put Shanika in the 300 and see how that goes." She was not happy. We did not care. And we put her in the 300 at the Hawks. And she lost by that much to a wonderful runner named Holly Heinricher from Foxborough. And Shanika was mad. She was mad that she lost. And it was awesome. So we went to the Class Bs. And at the Class Bs, Shanika was the Class B champion in the 300, running 41 seconds, which is unbelievable. She then went to the All-States. And at the All-States, she had to run against Heinricher again from Foxborough. Shanika blew the whole field away when she ran a 40.93. And then she went to the All-New Englands, representing all of Ames, and she won that as well with a 40.43. It's an incredible feat. It's one of the greatest. See, you were him. Shanika was also a 5-time Hockomock League champion. But what I want to mention is the 2005 Outdoor Championship, where she won the 400 running a 60 flat, and then came back and won the 200 in 25. She won both titles in one day, and the 400 and 200 are almost back-to-back from one another, so she didn't have much time to rest. So give her a hand for that, please. That's Shanika, again, just an outstanding runner, made our relay teams better, brought our best record at that time, which was 6-2, put us on the map as a team, not only in the league, but in the state. And now we always put her times up on the board at the beginning of the season, and we tell the kids, this is it, this is the peak that you got to pass. So it's great to have these times. It's great to actually have Shanika's stories going on still today, and we always have sprinters that are trying to beat her records. So it is my pleasure to introduce Shanika Pitts into the All of Ames Hall of Fame. Shanika could not make it today. Car trouble. Let's say car trouble, okay? So I accept this on her behalf. Thank you.
Sarah Powell will be presented by Ross Moscato, a member of the Hall of Fame committee.
Tell you the truth, I wasn't that sure that I would be presenting Sarah, but a few quick remarks. It must be kind of tough when you follow one of the most distinguished prep runners in United States history. That would be Andy Powell, Sarah's older brother, and her accomplishments unto themselves are just quite extraordinary because she established herself as one of the most distinguished female prep runners in, I would say, the Northeast region. And like her brother, she had all the top schools trying to land her services for their universities. And if you look through her accomplishments, they're really quite extraordinary. The times, the championships, and what I'm particularly happy about is she's still running to this day, and she's beating people again, and she's winning road races, and it is a great honor to introduce Cheryl Powell, who is the mother of two of the greatest prep runners in U.S. history, and this is an honor, and your children brought great honor and great recognition to our school. I know we'll all appreciate that. So, Cheryl, you accepted on behalf of Sarah, so here you go.
Thank you. On behalf of Sarah, thank you so much for this honor. She deeply regrets that she cannot be here to publicly and personally express her thanks to you. However, right now she's in the middle of a nursing program in Charleston, South Carolina. She can't miss one class or anything, so she was not able to make it. And I want to thank you for making possible her success in running through the extraordinary track and cross-country programs at Olive Ames High School. She would tell us many times how much she owes to the coaching and support from Coach Neil Levine and Judy Copley. And it was nice to see Mike Darling. He was another coach, and she really appreciates the coaching and the help and support she got from the school. And I want to just make one comment of how especially Neil Levine and Judy Copley would go the extra mile for the runners. All the coaches seem to do that. But Sarah qualified for cross-country Foot Locker national championships, but they were in California. And so when she went there, Judy Copley, out of her own money, went and got a flight. She had two boys, and she still does have the two boys. Flew to California, spent the night in a hotel to support her. And Sarah said to me on the phone just this week, Sarah said, that was a lot of effort for Judy to be there for an 18-minute race. But she was there, and I just thought that just kind of showed how much the coaches really cared about not only her, but the whole team, and we're really there for them. Since high school, Sarah has continued using and building all she's learned at Olive Ames High School, both in schooling and running. As Coach Moscato said, she has competed off and on across the years, and she's won a few and she's lost a few. But I think most recently, it just kind of surprised me, I think, and my husband as well, because she was also going to school and whatever, but she ran her first marathon at the Illinois Marathon, and that was last spring. And as a result, she qualified to run at the Olympic trials for the marathon in Atlanta in 2020. So that she has continued with the running. And again, I want to thank all of you who have built into Sarah's life. And I do appreciate, too, the Hall of Fame that's just kept some of these students who have done well. And I think it was brought out, it's when Sarah keeps saying, oh, this girl is breaking my records. And that's good. We want to continue to see students breaking that 300, the one that you were talking about, Coach Darling, and all these records, and to have people to look up to so that they can continue to do as well or even better than them. So, and thank you all who made this wonderful evening for all of us possible. Thank you.
Next up, we have the 2006 Girls State Championship basketball team, and Elaine Clement Holbrook was the coach, is the coach, and is a legendary coach. Get up here.
Excuse me, no, is that, no, that's, I know, that's my, you know, I think my body's like cracking. As an anatomy physiology teacher at all brains, you call that crepitus. There you go, Bill. The 2006 Oliver Ames High School basketball team won the program's first state title in the modern era. The Tigers were undefeated in the Hockomock League and finished the season 25-1. The only loss, by 2 points, coming in a non-league game with Walpole. We got them back, didn't we? I want to thank my assistant coaches, Diane Reynolds-Abella, who is a member of this Athletic Hall of Fame, Stacy Doloff-Hamalian, and Kelly Hurley. Their commitment and passion was unparalleled. We opened the tournament beating North Attleboro as we played the very last game in the history of Oliver Ames in what we now refer to as the practice gym. Next, OA met Walpole. That was awesome. The team that had handed the Tigers their lone loss of the season in the Division II semifinals. Things were very different in the rematch. And I remember having an 18-point lead and Walpole calling a timeout, and I had to calm the children in the timeout because they were super excited. We ended up beating them 48-30. Next stop was the Division II South Sectional Finals at UMass Boston, and OA beat Hopkinton. My recollection of UMass Boston was Kayla Kershaw trying to get herself stuck inside the locker in the team room before we went out onto the floor. Any of you who have ever been to a game at UMass Boston, one of the things that was pretty amazing, it was like clockwork. And so they would bring the teams in, and you would sit and you would wait. And it was kind of hard to keep this posse under control. But I think Kayla finally got her arm out from behind her. We were able to get her out of the locker. And then, of course, we had to play the game. Next up was a trip to TD Garden to play Melrose, who at the time was 23-0. And that was for the EMAS Division II semifinal. The Red Raiders provided OA its toughest test of the tournament. We got out to a 29 lead, but Melrose fought back, and we only led by 2 at halftime. Things remained tight in the second half, but we played a clutch game, and we secured a 50-47 win. On to the state finals at the DCU Center in Worcester. Our opponent was Hampshire Regional, and they had a 6'4" center. You remember her, right, Nene? Yes. Mm-hmm. They were the Division II state champion and state championship finalists 3 of the previous years. In the final, of course, Hampshire Regional did a little scouting, and that they put 2 people on Brittany. So, you know, according to Brittany's standard, only scoring 15 points, that was a bad day, coach. It wasn't necessarily the points we scored that really brought us to the state championship. It was our defense. And I think that was the MVP of the game, making 25 steals and 14 others, grabbing them, forcing turnovers. When the final horn sounded, the scoreboard read OA 50, Hampshire Regional 39. I had a chance to go down memory lane as I looked through a scrapbook that 2 of my science colleagues had made for me. The scrapbook included pictures, newspaper articles, but also a page from every member of this team, including our managers, who are both here this evening. Reading each one of them, the underlying message was the same from every single person. They felt like they were one big family, united in purpose, and at these moments they will cherish for the rest of their lives. One of the other strengths that this group exemplified were the many shenanigans that they took great pride in. I don't have time to recount them all, but I will give you just a few. covering my car with one of their favorite expressions, "We eat babies." The shenanigans that took place at all of the pasta dinners. Now, Erin Sheehan was one of the quietest people I've ever met. She, unbeknownst to me, decided that for the entire season she was going to carry around a movie camera with her, and she was going to take movies of her teammates at various points during the course of practice, games, pre-game talks. I had no idea that this was happening. At the end of the season, she made a movie, and every one of the players have a copy of that movie. You all still have that, right? I'm not going to talk about the Cheez-Its. I'm not going to talk about a lot of it. But one thing I kept reminding myself when I was looking at it is, why in God's name, Erin, did you take pictures of Shaunae's feet in the bathroom in the locker room at Canton High School? Nene's little feet are tapping. And of course, they're supposed to be in the locker room stretching and talking about the scouting report and talking about the game plan. But, you know, apparently it all worked. And honestly, I think that's what kept them united. One of my favorite things about this team was the fact that they recognized each other when someone gave somebody an assist that led directly to a score. It was this. So, to try to get my players in this day and age to recognize their teammate with an assist, it's very difficult, wouldn't you say, Coach Brittany? So this whole thing, Reynolds would go ahead of the pack, would throw the ball down, she'd grab it, lay up, the fastest thing I ever knew, lay it in. Slay, like this, or Brittany, like this. And to me, that just showed the unity that these kids had and the love that they had for each other. It's a long, tough road to travel to make it to the finals. And for me, I think that they made it the most fun experience that I've ever had. My biggest takeaway from the state championship season was the way in which this team brought the entire town of Easton together. The stands were filled with a sea of orange. If you could look at some of the pictures that we have from the games at the Boston Garden, the boys' baseball team, they showed up en masse, and they painted their faces, they painted their chests. There literally were 6,000 people from Easton in the stands at the Boston Garden, which to me was amazing. A quote from one of the newspaper articles was from none other than Jim Craig, who has been mentioned already this evening. And he was our Olympic hometown hero. And Jim said, "Isn't it wonderful about the girls' basketball team and all the hoopla, and how it's bringing together this entire community?" That to me is one of my proudest moments. It is with great pleasure that I present the Oliver Ames Girls 2006 State Basketball Champions into the 2018 class of the Oliver Ames Athletic Hall of Fame. I now turn this over to my tri-captains, Brittany Engel, Shanae Lepet, and Jess Schlegel-Wilkins.
She's a tough act to follow. So there's something to be said for being the first of anything. It takes commitment to a common goal, sacrifice, resilience during the most difficult times, trust and love for those going through the journey with you, and a little bit of luck. Whenever I reflect on what our team accomplished, I marvel at our ability to be fiercely competitive and ridiculously silly at the same time. And some of those things Coach had already alluded to. But I think that's what you get when you put a group of friends together who have grit, who have fight in them, but also love each other at the same time. We pushed each other, and every single person rose to the occasion. I am eternally grateful for these two co-captains who stand with me. They kept me in check. When I went off the rails competitively, they provided perspective and a lot of laughs. I trusted them, and they helped me trust my teammates. We never would have won a title without each piece of the puzzle.
The pieces consisted of more than just the players and the coaches. They consisted of families, teachers, trainers, bus drivers, and fans. As Coach mentioned, the whole town came out en masse to support us. I remember seeing our friends in the stands with tiger stripes. Someone painted himself completely black and was still black in school the next day because he couldn't get the paint off. But I'd like to thank a few of the important members of our team that probably don't get as much recognition as they should, but as we can see tonight, that they've come out en masse to support us. So thank you to my mom for signing me up for basketball and encouraging me to try new things, even though I was deathly afraid of failing anything that I tried. Thank you, Dad, for taking me to countless games and tournaments, gyms, outdoor courts, for being my biggest fan and the most ruthless one-on-one opponent I've ever played. Thank you, Mr. Sheehan, for coaching many of us when we were younger and making it fun. I know I'll probably remember Mr. Sheehan's jock jams. Thank you to the Lopettes, Cheryl, for making my mom and I laugh on all of our road trips to all the tournaments. We laughed so much I even forgot if we were running late, so it was perfect. Ronnie, I want to thank him. He would call me before games. He was my rec coach, and I think he really got me. He understood how competitive I was. So he would call me before games and leave a voicemail that was so long he had to call me back and leave another one. And he would tell me all the things I was supposed to be eating and what I was supposed to be doing pre-game, just so we could win this 6th grade rec game. So I knew he understood me, so I was all in on that. Thank you to the Schlegelers for making me feel like a part of the family whenever I was there, and for showing me where Jess gets her big heart. She just came to our team sophomore year, and I don't know if she remembers, probably. I saw her as an opponent more than a teammate initially, because I thought she might want to take my spot. That's how competitive I was. And she handled it with grace, and we ended up becoming really good friends. And I think that's a direct result of how she was raised. And thank you for letting me come in the fold as well. Thank you to the Reynolds for your kindness and acceptance of my silliness whenever I was at your house. I think partly because maybe you were quiet, I was extra excited to be around you, and you never judged me, so I really appreciate that. Mr. Riley, every game that we played in, I always saw him in the same top corner of the stands, supporting us, one of the first ones in the gym. The Kershaws, also always in the stands, inviting us over for probably the best pasta dinners, no offense to anybody else. The best pasta dinners where we felt we were treated like a family, and we ate Italian style like a family. Those are the things that we cherished as teammates, as friends, and as basketball players. And I want to thank every parent who signed my teammates up for basketball and supported her in this journey. Thank you to each of my teammates who tried your best and put up with me. I know it wasn't easy. Thank you to the coaching staff, especially Lainey, who now I have the pleasure of coaching with, for letting us be ourselves. I think that was really what put us over the edge. We were best friends, fierce competitors, but we were silly. And she let us be all of those things at the same time, and I think that's what helped us become successful. Thank you for guiding us on this journey, on one of the greatest journeys of our high school lives. I appreciate the opportunity to play with my favorite team and my best friends.
Before I begin, I would like to invite the rest of the team up on stage if you'd like. Tonight, and I just have a few people that I want to thank. I'm not going to give a long speech like Britt.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Just make me look bad. First, I want to thank the coaches for their dedication to our team, for showing us that with discipline and hard work, you're able to succeed, along with, of course, having a lot of fun along the way. She's not listening. Those values still hold true to this day, and now I'm able to pass them along to my children, so thank you for that. I want to thank my sister and my brother for your patience and support, and for attending all of my games and tournaments with minimal complaints. My mom and my dad, my very first coaches. I thank you for never missing a game. I knew when I looked in those stands, I would always have you two looking back at me. I don't want to cry. You taught me sacrifice. Thank you for going without sleep to make sure that I got wherever I needed to go. For giving up your weekends because getting up the next morning was more important. You showed me that, You showed me at an early age that sports memories are some of the best memories that can be made. Which brings me to my last thank you. Girls, I know I speak for all of us when I say that season was one of the best experiences in our lives. Our team brought together our families, our school, and our community. I want to thank each and every one of you and the girls that aren't here tonight. That season took a very personal turn for me a week before it started. I had a very close friend of mine pass away in a car accident, and she was never able to play her senior year. But because of your support and effort, we were able to win that season for ourselves, for each other, and for her. So thank you. Lastly, I promised my kids I would say hi. Chris and Santa, thank you for being here tonight to support your mom. I love you.
All right. Well, I just want to say thank you again to all the coaches and staff, band supporters, teachers, in the community that we were a part of. I want to say a big thank you to my parents, my mom. I remember calling her multiple times saying, I didn't eat today, we have a game later, can you come bring me food? Or I forgot my basketball sneakers. And she was like, you have a game today. I'm like, I know. She'd always be running there, and always like to, for some reason, call her last minute and tell her, you have 20 minutes to get here. So I would like to thank her for that. I'd like to thank my father as well for pushing me the many days I told him I was quitting and I wasn't going back, and he'd tell me, you'll be there tomorrow, so don't tell anybody else you're quitting, you're going to embarrass yourself. And I'd like to also thank Mike, Brittany's dad. He was one of my biggest supporters and pushed me since I was younger. I wouldn't mind taking criticism from him, but my parents not so much, so I'd like to give a big thanks to Mike for that. And just thank you to all the parents that came to support. And our senior year, was our best year. As said before, Slade came in 10th grade. She just brought different personality, kind of let us let our guard down by 12th grade, or by our senior year, coach just kind of let us go with it. I remember Kayla Kershaw used to just come out with a burst of speed, any loose balls on the ground. She was kind of embarrassing. She'd be the first one on the ground. We were supposed to be on the ground with her, but a lot of shots would catch us watching. Or by the end of the year, we got it. Jen Reynolds used to come with this soccer reflex, so fast, so quick. In my mind, she was one of our quickest players. Erin Sheehan, very quiet, but whenever she got mad, I remember the rest of us would be whispering, like, she's mad today. Something's really not going right. Shauna, she was a shooter. I used to get a lot of, kind of watch some of our teammates, and they were my friends along the way, and try to pick up some things, but I couldn't. Shauna was a shooter, that was it. I couldn't follow that. And Brittany, as we all know, very competitive, was a big leader for us, and thankful for our managers and all our other players that we played with. Just very thankful. A lot of good memories from that year. A lot of camaraderie. So thank you very much.
2007 boys baseball team will be presented by Coach Leo Duggan.
Showtime. Wow, it's been a while. I'm still alive, even though I've basically moved to Connecticut. I had a speech prepared, but I looked at my thing, and all I got is funeral cards. You know, I never wear a suit coat, so I didn't know that right now. It's my pleasure to introduce the 2007 boys baseball team who won the state of Massachusetts championship. I did a little research into this before I came, because the kids deserve all the credit. There were 25 teams in Division II in 2007, 25. So that means we had to play 7 games. And believe me or not, the MIA does not make it easy for us to succeed in any kind of a tournament. Our first game was against Dennis Yarmouth. We were ahead 1-0, and then all of a sudden, the 6th inning, they scored 2 runs. We head to the bottom of the 7th, we scored. And then we won an extra innings. So that gave us the next round. We had to go to Milton. Milton had kids that went to the University of Miami. They probably thought they were the best team in America. Well, we set a high school record that year. That game took over 52 hours to play out. Basically what happened, we had a 3-1 lead in the 4th inning, and a monsoon occurred. All of a sudden, like you look across the street, it was nothing. It was like a beautiful day, it was 80 degrees, and we had to, basically call the game. And so like 2 days later, so basically that was the longest game in MIA history. And we ended up winning 4-2. So that was great. So then our next reward, we got lucky, we got to play Hopkinton at home. And our pitching, was exceptional. Dallas, 2-0. That was just an easy game. Yeah, right, 2-0. And then they sent us to Rockland. We had to play Foxborough. Now, we played Foxborough in the parking lot of the junior high. But they send us to the worst stadium in America, and I don't care what anyone says, it's a dump. And of course, that was the game. I don't care, I didn't get in trouble. There's Donnie Fredericks, he's not going to be here. We started, I thought, oh, we're going to play all right, and now we're losing 6-3. And we're like, I'm starting to panic. Thank God for Coach Rollo, who calms me down. And somehow we managed to tie it. And then again in the bottom of the 7th, I'll say Michael Holmes got probably the biggest hit of his young career. We said it was a solid single, but it was probably the biggest bloop in America. I don't know how the kid didn't catch it. Boom, 2nd-6. Okay, so we get to move on. So the next round, we ended up going to Braintree. Braintree was all right. We were out of pitching at that point. We put in Trevor. Trevor pitched 5 great innings. We ended up winning, 4-0? 4-0. Now we're on a roll. Then the MIA and the Brilliants send us to Lowell. 75 miles to Lowell, and they don't let you warm up. So we were very fortunate that they gave us a coach bus at least. So under the lights, Dallas threw an absolute gem. We ended up winning 5-0, and then in the finals, we ended up going back to Lowell again on the Saturday, and somehow the first 2 innings were the greatest probably in all of Ames history. We scored 13 runs in 2 innings and basically shut Walcona out. In summary, we scored 38 runs in the state tournament, gave up a total of 10. Now that's amazing. And it was just like the Red Sox. I can't say that, I mentioned Dallas, Michael, Trevor, B, Stefan, all you guys, Billy Humphrey, Nick, all you guys. You guys were great. The Bloom, Andy Bloom. It was a pleasure coaching you guys. It was fun. Chris, I can still remember you getting your uniform dirty down at Frothingham. And it's the little things that win games. We always preach base coaching, base running, and bunting. We didn't make any mistakes. And for us to win the championship, we've been close in the past, but this was the culmination of everything. So I'd like to introduce my 2 captains, Brian Duggan and Stefan Capobianco. One of the great things about these guys, they all look like they're in shape. So they were playing men's softball now.
Good evening. Thanks everyone for being here. First off, congratulations to all the individuals and other teams that have been selected to be here. Pretty amazing in a 3-year span that we had this many people here, so that's pretty awesome. So thank you very much, and I'm not a good public speaker, as you can tell, but we really had a great team, and I'd like to thank my teammates because I wouldn't be standing up here if it wasn't for all them making all the plays that, has us here tonight. So that was great, man. I'm gonna let Capo take over.
Good evening, everyone. So, it's been 10 years since we graduated, so I don't know if the stage can hold all your weight, so I won't invite you all up. So I invite the team to stand, please. But really, to start, once again, on behalf of the entire team, I want to thank the Hall of Fame Committee. This is a tremendous honor that we accept on behalf of the entire team. Congratulations to all the individual athletes. That is an amazing accomplishment. You all should be very proud. To the teams that also got inducted as well, congratulations. I remember being a freshman on that 06 basketball run. I thought I was cool chugging Red Bulls on the tee on the way to the garden. I was not 21 yet, so I didn't drink, but it was an amazing run. It was tons of fun, so you should be very proud. Congratulations. There are so many thank yous to go around, and everyone, says the same thing, but I cannot say it again. To the coaches, Coach Duggan, Coach Rollo, thank you very much for, putting this team together and assembling what was a great championship team. To all of the coaches in our youth programs and Little League, Babe Ruth, Legion, everywhere. It really was a team effort built with so many different perspectives, so we thank them. The teammates, I'm so thankful, and we're all so thankful for each other to push ourselves to achieve great things. To our families, to our parents who had to drive to Lowell to watch our games, so thank you. And really, it's just a tremendous honor, and we're very appreciative. We had one hell of a team. We really did. From pitching, hitting, defense. This was the greatest team that I've been a part of. I did win a Little League championship, but this was much better, much better. But really, this was the best team, made up of so many unique characters, and everyone played a part. Those who are here, those who are not here. It really was just a complete team. And then just to end, I know, baseball itself, as a sport, it's somewhat taking a backseat to basketball, soccer, not really, but football, just continue to support youth programs, Little League, Babe Ruth. It really is a great sport, and I really hope that we can continue to develop great teams such as ours. So thank you very much, and it's a real honor. So,
one last thing, I said we set 2 high school records, the longest game in history, and in the state finals, Michael Holmes pitched a no-hitter against Wacona, which has never been done in all of history of high school baseball, so that's
Okay. Presenting for the 2007 Girls State Championship soccer team is Coach Britt Selmeyer.
Kind of shocked to actually be up here before 9 o'clock, to tell the truth. High school sports, to me, is the purest of all sports. It is something I enjoy more than anything else. And I could sit and watch a Patriots game, watch a Celtics game, but I'd rather go to Frothingham, I'd rather go up to the high school gym and see the high school teams play. Because it's just, to me, that's just my thing. That's the purest sports where you're playing with your friends, representing your town. And to me, all these things that are going on tonight are just true tribute to that. Not a big fan of the MIA, right, Leo? But I will tell you, they did us a big favor, and we'll get there in a little bit. First, I want to thank our coaching staff. Tony Cersei, you've been with me for 20 years. Steve Cersei and Pat Rose, who's my keeper coach. And a special shout out to Scott Dolan, who's been with me for the longest time, and he's going through a big battle right now, and he's always been a big part of our program. And I also want to remember Amy Sasson, who was our trainer at the time. And sometimes it actually keep me in line and say, hey, Britt, calm down. So she just didn't take care of the injury, so she did a lot of other things. A special thank you to the parents for giving me such special players and people. You guys did such an outstanding job. It made my job easier, and it was a true joy to have to coach your daughters. You challenge them, you let them fail, you let them spend time with me. But you gave me great soccer players, but even better people. And I'm truly grateful for that. Thank you. To the players, you guys are unbelievable. We had a great team. We played 24 games that year. We had 18 shutouts. We went through the tournament. We played 6 games. We gave up one goal. And we weren't just a defensive team. We had people that could score. I had 4 or 5 players that had 10 goals. I had athletes in the midfield that worked up and down the field, taking a lot of credit. I had great backs. I had 2 awesome keepers. But all these players all had one thing in mind. It was always team first and the ultimate goal about winning. And you guys just did an outstanding job. We had the best player, but we had a lot of other good things to go with it. And as far as the MIA, well, yeah, Leo, I do agree. But when we put the state championship game in Brockton, it can't be that bad. I mean, we had to go up on the North Shore to play that Danvers for that 1-0 game. But when they told us, oh, we're going to play state championship game in Brockton, is that all right? I said, yeah. And to that one game, and to me, my experience in 20 years, to turn around and see the stands just flooded with our fans, I knew the other team didn't have a chance that day. And they only had 1 shot on goal, and we truly dominated the game. So it was a great team, it was a great season, and with that, I'd like to call up my 2 captains, Kelly Matthews and Kyle.
We want to start by thanking the committee for nominating us. We know you didn't have a choice because we won, but still, thanks. Thank you to Britt Selmeyer. You know, it's interesting that Britt took to girls soccer, as he seemingly detests everything about teenage girls. The man rolled his eyes more times in 4 years at Oliver Ames than I have in my whole 29 years, and that's saying a lot. But we always knew there was a softie hidden somewhere deep under the surface, and we caught fun glimpses of that once in a while, if only to be hurriedly followed by the words, "Get on the line." Thank you, Tony and Steve Searcy, for being Britt's slightly softer and more understanding counterparts. We also wanted to mention Scott Dolan, who was always around to help since we were youngsters. Scott, you're in our thoughts. Lastly, thank you to all the parents and boosters for your unwavering support and sometimes borderline embarrassing cheering. Kylie and I got together earlier this week to work on our speech, or catch up on gossip and inhale some ramen noodles. You be the judge. We did eventually begin brainstorming how to begin this speech, and the first obvious things that came to our minds were the juicy jumpsuit, which actually came into rotation in 1999 when Andy, my sister, was playing on the team. It has been washed once since that time. Spaghetti dinners, which we were talking about, like, kind of stinks that those go away when you're an adult. Like, don't you think it would be nice to carb load with 25 of your best friends before a hard day at work?
So during our next break from gossip and ramen, another memory that quickly came to mind was the scene in the locker room before the finals. I'm not kidding you when I say that it was as if we were preparing for battle. We had one station where there was, I think, Kelly Duggan applying orange hairspray. There was another station where people were getting their hair braided, another station where people were getting war paint. And I walked into the locker room, and Kelly was standing there, and she was like, "Hey, Kyle, will you put this tattoo on my neck for me?" And I was like, as if Kelly wasn't intimidating enough, let's throw some tattoos on her neck. But I could use all the help I could get, really. So I was like, "Do you have any more? Can I have one?" And she was like, "Well, I have this Black Panther one." I was like, "Perfect, put it on, yes." And so I wore a Black Panther on my neck for the finals game, which makes no sense, but it didn't matter because we were the face of intimidation. So regardless of our eccentric intimidation rituals, I think it's safe to say that it worked. I truly believe that our success that season wasn't just because of the skill of the players and on the team, but because of how well we all got along. 11 years later, which is crazy, 11 years, I got the invite and I was like, how long has it been? 11? Oh my God. So 11 years later, a lot of us still are really close and get together and see each other really often. I don't think that that's something a lot of teams from High School Connect can say.
We feel fortunate to be given the opportunity to get together all these years later and not only get to see everyone, but also take the time to reflect on the priceless memories from what was truly an unforgettable experience. I do want to take a second to have some personal thank yous, specifically to my family. My brother has recently joined the committee here, and he's becoming quickly a rock star in Easton. My dad, he was at every single game, and you could find him wearing a Hawaiian shirt and a safari hat, taking photos constantly. My mom, there's no words. She is my best friend. She's more of a sister than a mom to me, and for that, endless thank you. On behalf of the whole team, thank you for this honor.
Says my job was? I didn't know it.
I couldn't read the sign language between the bells.
Okay, and I can't pronounce your name, so. Westfall.
Well, it's like old home week when you get to be the leader at Oliver Ames High School for 20 years. And you get to be part of some of these events. Actually, this is my 11th class of inductees. And the first few were very memorable because the stories were from yesteryear. They were from the bygone eras of 40s, 30s, 50s, and some of the exceptional athletes that graced the fields and the courts at Oliver Ames High School, and listening to the legendary names and then watching them come up and speak. It was a lot of fun to be part of those. But now in the last few years, I've been around long enough that I'm seeing some of the students who were in the cafeteria, on the fields, and Capital, I'm glad that you're admitting it was Red Bull, because I have to say that as a principal, those games at the Garden are a nightmare. You spend most of your time chasing drunk kids and calling very upset parents about states of intoxication, and then you're asking, how's the game going? But it is wonderful to see so many familiar faces, families and students, and to be part of something like this. I do have a few prepared words, and since we're way ahead of schedule, I think I'm supposed to come on at 9:30, I'm going to take liberty. No, I'm not. But I've always loved attending these events, and many people have kind of alluded to the fact that these events connect our past to our present. And the importance of that for our today's kids. I think a few of our coaches talked about the fact that Coach Darling was talking about putting names up on a board in a preseason meeting, talking about what has happened in the past and what you could potentially do. And for the students to walk through the hallways in the atrium and look at the wall of fame and look at all of the names and the teams and the coaches, and to be able to read the bios that Ross so eloquently put together, those are important pieces of the culture of our school and our community. And there were a number of people tonight who talked about community. This is a special time. So, your legacy in sports individually and as teams will live on, and that's a pretty important thing. But I want you to listen, and it may seem fairly straightforward, but the definition of the Hall of Fame, what does that actually mean? So from a dictionary, a structure housing memorials to famous or illustrious individuals, usually chosen by a group of electors. So you're illustrious as a team, you're illustrious as individuals. Mark Brockman, where are you, Mark? So Mark and I were always at events together. In fact, we were at all these games, all the playoff runs. And one of the things that Mark and I would talk about is the opportunities that student athletes and students would have to be celebrated, and that take advantage of those things, really savor those moments. So it's really nice to be chosen by a group of electors, but it's also interesting that as members of the Hall of Fame, a group of individuals in particular category, such as sports, who have been selected as particularly, again, illustrious. We don't get too many opportunities in life, at work, generally to have this kind of a celebration. And so as we get older, we start to take advantage of taking them to heart and hanging on to them. Which brings me to, I think, another theme that was expressed by so many of our honorees tonight, and that's family. I can remember my father, before big games, I was one of those kids who just nervous, no matter what. It was just, I was nervous. And his recommendation to me was always, when you walk into the arena, when you walk into the gym, big game, take a deep breath. Take a deep breath, look around, take a picture. Close your eyes. Think about what you're about to experience. He said, because no matter what the score is, you'll always remember that event. You'll remember who was there. You'll see people in the stands, as our coaches, as Lainey said, you'll see a sea of orange. You'll see people from your school that are at that event. Remember that. Cherish that. And so I would challenge all of our inductees, because you've done it in the past, to not forget to do it tonight. To cherish this moment, to take a picture, so that nobody can take away this honor. Nobody can take away the opportunity that you had tonight to celebrate with your teammates or individually your accomplishments, and to hang on to those as you grow older and as you begin to, again, as some of our coaches stated, give back to the communities that you find yourselves in. If you're not in Easton right now. So as you cherish those moments, as you take those deep breaths, and as you hang on to this moment, play it forward and use it as a way of building confidence in some of the youth that need direction and focus from people like you. It does make me feel quite old as I'm sitting talking to all of the inductees tonight who are in their late 20s, early 30s, and some of their siblings who I remember here, and just seeing how time has been very good to you and how you have matured. But listening to you speak, it was the same person speaking, and that's really cool. So, a couple of more things. I think I'll just close with a great thanks to our coaching staffs. Everyone who spoke tonight, one of the things that's, I think, a very important piece of the legacy of excellence at All Ames High School is stability. Stability in our coaching staffs. Stability in the ability to look back and be one of those people who either watch that person play or coach them. So we have a great coaching staff that was able to develop and to bring into fruition some of these championships. But I think we do need to just take a moment and thank our coaches. And that includes parents and their youth organization all the way up to the high school coaches who have been here for quite some time. So please join me in thanking our coaching staffs. Closing, although they have been thanked, I do want to thank the Hall of Fame committee, who meets on a Wednesday every month, every year, to put this together. We may not have them every year. This is our 11th, but at this point we're starting to go 2-3 years between events. But there's a lot of work that has to be done, and the fact that they get together, they drive each other to fundraise, to do research on teams and individuals, and bring this night to fruition with a lot of legwork, fundraising, and producing a lot of the benefits that you see before you. So I'd also like to, I don't know if Cindy got thanked, but Cindy Lemish, thank you so much for the flowers at the and two members of, a member of our school committee who is a very strong supporter of our athletic program. Caroline O'Neill is here this evening. And in her second year in Easton, one of our assistant superintendent in charge of curriculum and instruction is Chrissy Pruitt. And Joanne Faust, who is the president of the Hall of Fame committee, does need a last round of applause. congratulations once again to all of our inductees. Welcome to the Athletic Hall of Fame of Oliver Ames High School, and thank you for bringing such great pride to our town, to our school, and to your families. Thank you very much. I wish everyone a great night and a happy Thanksgiving.